So, good morning. Good morning, everyone here. Good morning, everyone at home. Welcome and thank you for joining us. My name is Reverend Denise Schubert, and it is my joy, privilege, and pleasure to be with you this morning talking about going beyond the beyond. But first, so a little church bulletin humor. Ladies, don't forget the rummage sale. It's a chance to get rid of those things not worth keeping around the house. And by the way, don't forget to bring your husbands. The peacemaking, by the way, the peacemaking meeting scheduled for today has been canceled due to a conflict. I like this one. Please remember in prayer the many of you who are sick of our community. That's a real one. All right, two more. Barbara remains in the hospital and needs blood donors for more transfusions. She is also having trouble sleeping and requests tapes of Pastor Joe's talks. I couldn't use a real name or I would have offended someone. And finally, the ladies of the church have cast off clothing of every kind, and they may be seen in the basement Friday at noon. All right, that's it. That's it. Now, with your laughter, of course, is very good because it opens us, right? It opens us. So our topic today is going beyond. I love this book. I love the title of this book, The Untethered Soul. So the word tether, if you're not sure, means tying specifically an animal to a post, like you would tether your horse. In circuses, though I hate this, they used to tether elephants to a pole and have the elephant walk around the pole. And tethering is such an important conversation for us because in the case of the elephant, they could take off the rope after a certain amount of time. The elephant would not stop doing that. They didn't know that they could be free. So they would continue even without the tether. So the untethered soul implies that our soul is tied to something, that we've been grounded somewhere. And we all know where that is, right? We're tethered to the ego. We're tethered to the way we think things are. We're tethered to what we believe. We're tethered to all of the conditioning that we've received in our indoctrination into humanity. But there's more. So this very important chapter in Michael Singer's book is to how do we orient ourselves. Going beyond is not a one-time deal. It's actually a many-time deal. It's actually a lifetime deal, really. But before I go on, I found this most darling reading, which goes with the reading, which goes with everything, and it's called The Ocean and the Onion. And I'm just going to read it and then bounce off of it. So the author, his name is Ricky Diaz. I don't know who he is. I think he just has a blog called Mind That Ego. But I like this very much. He says, think of the universe as a cosmic ocean of consciousness. Each one of us, at the deepest level of our psyche, is a part of this ocean. The ego prevents us from seeing this reality by deceiving us into believing we only exist as matter. When we identify with the ego, our self-image helps create the illusion that we are individual and separate from the ocean. We believe what makes us us is the mind, squished into the confines of gray matter, flesh, and blood. Imagine the ego as an onion floating on the cosmic ocean. I could have had Jesse find something for me, but I didn't do it soon enough. The ego onion consists of layer after layer of thoughts. I'm useless, life is hard, tomorrow's going to be a terrible day. Beliefs like there is no God, or I'm not worthy, or it could even be good thoughts, but still thoughts and beliefs nonetheless. Opinions such as, the New York Jets are the best team in town. That's not a good one for the Midwest, is it? Who's the best team in town? Great. So he goes on, identifying with this self-image means living a life whereby the vastness of the entire universe appears to be contained within the onion. The ego onion explains why spiritual practice emphasizes the importance of not identifying with the ego. The onion is a minuscule reflection of who you really are. Keep in mind this onion floating on the ocean. He says, identifying with the onion wouldn't be so bad if the onion were fresh, pragmatic, logical, rational, selfless, loving, kind. But most of our onions are tainted by negativity. Now, he quotes a study by Rosens and Roizmans where they posited that the influence of negative experiences weigh more heavily on us and last longer in our memory than positive ones. So he says onions are naturally glass half empty rather than glass half full. So not only is identifying with the onion drastically limiting our potential and cutting us off from the vast ocean of awareness, it also convinces us we're not really that great. We live our lives convinced we're an onion, and the story we create of who we are often discounts the positive. Yes, onions can be mature, logical, caring, successful, inspiring, and all sorts, and we can work at improving our onion. But an onion can only excel in the material world. Identifying with the ego onion is a global phenomenon. We live in a mass illusion, which Buddhism refers to as Maya. He concludes, we're a limitless ocean, believing itself to be an onion. What a shame. So, you're never going to forget that story. Onion, the onion in the ocean. So Socrates said, living an unexamined life is not worth living. And really, what he's talking about, what all the spiritual teachers are talking about, what we talk about here every single week, is the awareness that we are more than we think we are. We are more than just these bodies. We're more than just our stories. We're more than just our past. So the question is, how do we go beyond? We must go beyond. In fact, I think there are 3 steps, actually. And I think that the ego identification step is step number 1. And there is an important moment where we must, some way or another, make a disconnect so that we can see that there's more than just what's inside of our onion, where we can actually feel our spirit, we can feel the possibility, we can feel the potential, we can feel the call, we can feel the pull of spirit. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's not obvious. Now, it may be obvious to us, really, because we're in the room. And not everybody's in the room, not everybody knows they're interested in spiritual things, not everybody knows they're just an onion, not everybody knows they're just an ego running around. Because the glimpse of your more is the invitation to go beyond. It's an invitation to step outside of your comfort zone, outside of your self-inflicted boundaries, to disconnect from the tether. Now, Michael Singer says there are 2 ways you can live your life. You can live within your comfort zone, or you can work on your freedom. And the staying in your comfort zone is comfortable up to a point. Working towards your freedom is only comfortable up to a point, because working towards your freedom also has its own discomfort. Reverend Chris Michaels was the unity minister at the Fort Lauderdale Church And I was at a talk he made in 2019, and I have kept this quote, and I share it with you now. He says, "Our spirits are ultimate adventurers. Status quo, boredom, fear, and playing small, these are not qualities of the spirit." He says the spirit is huge, flamboyant, and excited. When we stop the spirit from living fully, the spirit will begin to decay the body in small and big ways so that it can be free. It's big, right? So when you think about our culture, our society, our ailments and ills, our addictions, our depressions, our anxiety, our fears, our worries, our doubts, all of those have a major impact on your health, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Yes, do you agree? Yeah. So the going beyond here, the conversation of going beyond is working towards freedom, working towards untethering our soul so that it can be flamboyant and bodacious. Flamboyant and bodacious. So I think this first step, living merely as an ego identity, I would call existing. And existence can be quite pleasurable and can be quite comfortable and can be quite miserable also. But merely existing is not why we're here. We're here to soar. We're here to move into impossible places. And it's not just when you're young, it's at any age. So this going beyond is not something that you get there and then you're done, right? So our habits, our comfort zones, our every day and every way of doing things, which really for most of us is pretty, isn't it? Isn't it? Coffee, we pee, we get coffee, we eat breakfast, we do something else, then we do something else. But probably for the most of us, this day-to-day is pretty much like every day. So he says the borders of the comfort zone are like an electric fence to a dog. Like you get close to going beyond and something goes, "Urgh." And he says if you don't believe that, try not having coffee this morning, right? Or try not peeing this morning. Sorry. Don Miguel Ruiz called this limitation, within us, he called this the book of laws. That each one of us arrives into adulthood with a book of laws of what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad. And even when we begin to make positive changes, we begin to grow, we begin to try new things, something in our solar plexus is going to go, oh my God, you're going to get in trouble. Do you know what I'm talking about? Oh. So one of the first things might be just to go beyond that. Can you go beyond the discomfort of not making your bed this morning? Or go beyond she says that and you react. Your boss says that and you react. Or you say that and they react. Can we go beyond what we know? So spirituality is the commitment to go beyond no matter what it takes. It is an infinite journey over and over and over again. So really, in your spiritual growth, if you commit to going beyond, if you commit to change, if you commit to growth, if you commit to possibility, you may never have another comfort zone. You may never have a place where it doesn't matter what you're doing, what you're saying, or how you're being. Now, the second step in your spiritual growth is fully recognizing that there's more. So all of a sudden, you're now in a space of becoming. So existing, becoming. And this becoming space is very, very exciting because there is not only a curiosity, but there's a power that comes with it because we teach spiritual laws and principles. We teach it is done unto you as you believe. Jesus said, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So we learn that our thoughts are things that with positive thought, with conscious intention, with commitment, with vision, that we can actually alter our surroundings. We can actually, I would call this stabilizing our life structures. Stabilizing, so your life structures are love, money, work, creativity, health. There may be others, but those are the big ones. When we're living from an ego perspective alone, when we're tethered, most, if not some, if not most of those life structures are not what you want them to be. So our relationships don't reflect the spirit, our money doesn't respect the truth of abundance, our creativity doesn't reflect the truth of our brilliance. There's a limitation. So when we learn that we can pray, meditate, visualize, we begin to alter the quality of our lives. And there's this process of going beyond, a big process. How many are you in that process now, changing? You know, I'm changing. There's not enough hands, so listen up. Okay, I'm sorry, we have to go back to step number 1. So we become aware that we're aware. That's in step number 2. We just become aware that we have an awareness, that you can watch your thoughts, you can watch your emotions, you have dominion over your mouth, so you can watch what you say. You don't have to say everything, right? We become aware, we become observers, we become witnesses to our own lives. A very powerful movement up from being tethered, being tied. I'm doing this little bit of stuff online recently called inner engineering. I love these two words together. I love them because engineering has a connotation of building something or creating something or designing something. And this teacher I'm studying with, he says, you know, we've mastered, as human beings in this century, we've mastered engineering the outer world. That we have spaceships, we can go to the moon. We have artificial intelligence, we have amazing technology, amazing engineering, but that as a species, we have not yet engineered our innards. So the next big beyond is really this inner engineering. Now, step 3, so once you stabilize your life structures, existing becoming, once you stabilize your life structures, and that actually is all the work we do here, all the where your past becomes neutralized, or in a best case scenario, your past becomes your doorway into your spiritual gifts. But that's pretty, I won't ask that of you right now. But the past can become neutralized. It can have less an effect on you in the current moment, less of a propelling you into a future that you don't want. It becomes neutral. So once that happens, then we become aware that we live in an infinite universe, and we also become beings who want to contribute. So if I'm taken care of, I'm just going to sit around like this. Well, now what do I do? You know, now that all the drama is gone, now that all the trauma is gone, now that I've repaired all my relationships, now that my health's back on track, now that I'm not worried about money all the time, now what do I do? And there's a natural inclination to give, a natural inclination to walk through the world at peace, in the reading really, at peace, in love, going with the flow, not worried about anything, not resisting anything, treating everything that comes before you as an opportunity to move beyond where you are in any given moment. We live then from the inside out rather than from the outside in. Michael Singer says, a spiritual being feels as though they are always against that edge, like the electric fence, the edge of our comfort zone, and they are constantly being pushed through it. Eventually, you will realize that it cannot actually hurt you to go beyond your psychological limits. If you are willing to just stand at the edge and keep walking, you will go beyond. So the third way of being, so we have existing with very little awareness. We have becoming with much more awareness and much more power, much more elegance, much more capacity to architect a life of our own design rather than living, when you're ego-identified only, you're just pushed around by life. It's exhausting, right? Because then you're just trying to muscle your way through what feels like reality. And sometimes that reality is hard and sometimes it's easy, but we're always trying to make it. In the second step, you're really beginning to have power and beginning to orchestrate situations and conditions, people, places, and things. But that's still not the only place. There's more beyond. He says, once you reach this state, once you go beyond that, you're actually being. So existing, becoming, being. Being is, I have a very, let me see if I brought this. Yeah, I don't know that I did. I'm going to have to paraphrase it. Becoming is still a little bit of coming from your ego identity, moving to have more mastery over that which is your living situation. Being is where you recognize that you're not trying to become anything, that you are actually, everything that you need is right here, everything. That you are self-sufficient, that you are on your own, connected to the ocean. So you're now no longer just the onion floating on the ocean, you're now the ocean. And the ocean is in want of nothing. So you actually move through life. I had just had this image come up, a swimmer in a still lake, just gliding through, seeing where you can make a difference, where you can shine your light, where you can uplift, where you can heal, where you can express the wholeness and fullness that you are. Michael Singer said, once you reach this state, you will never have to worry about anything ever again. The forces of creation will create creation, both inside and outside. You will float in peace, love, and compassion, beyond it all, yet honoring it all. There is no need for false solidity, or for resistance, or for staying on this side of the electric fence. You will be at peace with the universal expanse of your true being. He says you will interact with the day with a peaceful and fully inspired heart. Can you even imagine, we're going to talk about this next week, but can you imagine unconditional happiness? Can you imagine really moving through life? And I'm going to say for me, I'll just tell you what my experience has been. I came into this teaching at about 45, and if you had asked me, I would have told you that my life was about, hello? I would have told you that my life was 80% drama, right? 80% worried about my weight, worried about my job, worried about my husband's, worried, like trying to figure it all out, paying the bills, 80%. And 20% of my life was ecstasy, like really fun, like, new cars, vacations, things that really, really made me happy. And it felt normal. It felt like that's the way it's supposed to be. I was happier than most people I knew. I think most people were like, they were at 85%. But after these teachings, a decade later, if even, but certainly ongoingly, it's now 80% ecstasy and 20% drama. And it's way better. Amen. Do I hear an amen? Yeah. So that's what so the going beyond, we're really striving to be our true selves. You know, God is happy. God is not there's no such thing as an unhappy, miserable, depressed, verklempt God. Or a dolphin, by the way. Like the animal kingdom, they're immune, they're not tethered either, but we have these egos, which, by the way, you're always going to have an ego. So what do you do with your ego? What do you do about it? Nothing. You let it be. Anything you can let be will let you be. So you're not going to get rid of your ego. You just need to recognize that you are a body of consciousness. You're an ocean. Actually, let's use this. You're the heavens. I like this better because then you descend. You're this big body of consciousness, birthless, deathless, eternal being, and you decided to plop into this body. You decided to take on this body. You decided to take on this experience. But it's not you. Same with your ego. So your consciousness has a body, and your consciousness has an ego. And what you do is take responsibility for your body, and you take responsibility for your ego, and then you go about the business of expressing your being in life. He says, then one day when you least expect it, you will fall into the infinite. One day when you least expect it. So I want you to know that this path of existing, becoming, being is not necessarily easy, because it presses up against your comfort zones, because you'll have a new comfort zone every time you make a move. But Singer's message in this chapter is to keep being willing to go beyond where you are. Your whole life, be willing to see more, to be more, to love more, to forgive more, to be more flexible, to be open to the mystery that it means to be alive. Emerson said, I'll close with this, Emerson said, one of my favorite quotes, there is no planet, sun, or star that could hold you if you but knew who you are. And so it is. Yeah.